Welcome back to This Explainer. Today we are opening up the ultimate mystery box. Now, we all think we know America pretty well, right? We know the vibrant cities, the diverse national parks, and that incredible history we've literally been studying since we were kids. But beneath all that familiar surface, there's this kind of shadow history. We're talking a collection of absolutely baffling disappearances, unexplained phenomena, and cryptic messages that completely defy logic. So, today, we're going to challenge your assumptions about what is actually known and what might be truly unknowable. There is still so much left to our imaginations, challenging all reason and sparking endless conspiracy theories. Think about that for a second. That tension right there between our everyday human reason and the absolute power of the unknown is exactly what we're exploring today. I mean, we've got all these incredible modern investigative techniques, right? Yet somehow, certain things just slip right through the cracks of history and science. Which brings us to the big, central question framing our entire analytical journey today. Will the truth ever be revealed? As you listen to the evidence we're about to unpack, really ask yourself, are we just one tiny clue away from solving these puzzles? Or are the answers just permanently out of our reach? Okay, let's dive into this. We've got 3 distinct case files from American history that we'll be opening up. First, Roanoke, the Lost Colony. Second, where is Jimmy Hoffa? Third, the mysterious Tow's Hum. And finally, will we ever know? Section 1. Roanoke, the Lost Colony. Okay, set the scene in your mind. It's the year 1590. English Governor John White has just navigated the treacherous Atlantic. He's returning to Roanoke Island, in what is now North Carolina, after getting delayed for years by a war with Spain. He's expecting to find this thriving settlement of 117 people, including his own granddaughter. But instead, he steps ashore into this eerie, total silence. The colony is entirely abandoned. Now, for over 430 years, researchers have methodically worked through a few prominent theories, but honestly, the evidence always falls frustratingly short. Was it hurricane destruction? Well, White actually noted that the buildings weren't violently blown over by storms. They looked like they were carefully taken down and dismantled. What about famine and disease? Sure, there had been a massive drought, but White found absolutely no graves in the village. You'd definitely expect graves with a disease outbreak. Maybe a Spanish attack? Nope, no signs of battle or struggle left behind, which leads researchers to one final theory: relocation. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the split in that relocation theory. Did they move 50 miles inland to the Chesapeake Bay like they were instructed to do, or did they flee to Hatteras Island? You see, the famous word Croatoan was found carved right into a post, and that points to Hatteras Island and a friendly native tribe living there. Modern archaeologists have actually found 16th century English artifacts 50 miles inland, but crucially, no human remains or village structures. None. Over on the Hatteras Island side, well, artifacts were found there too, but again, no definitive graves. Plus, experts point out the island's limited resources probably couldn't even support 117 new English settlers anyway. They literally just vanished. So, Roanoke shows us how an entire community can just fade into the fog of history. But sometimes the mystery isn't historical, it's criminal. We are shifting gears now from a 16th century ghost town to a fast-paced, gritty 20th century mafia thriller. Section 2. Where is Jimmy Hoffa? As you likely know, James Riddle Hoffa was the incredibly powerful president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. Now, to really understand why his 1975 disappearance is such a massive deal, you've got to remember his aggressive tactics, like the quickie strike. By leveraging these sudden, unannounced strikes, he literally brought massive trucking companies to their knees at the negotiating table. He built the Teamsters into the largest union in the United States, peaking at over 2.3 million members. He even created powerful political action committees. The guy was a force of nature, deeply entangled with both immense political influence and, well, organized crime. But, that aggressive power building eventually caught up with him. In 1967, he was handed an aggregate 13-year prison sentence for jury tampering and fraud involving the union's pension fund. He actually served less than 5 years before President Richard Nixon commuted his sentence in 1971. But there was a major catch here. Hoffa was barred from union activities until 1980. Now, Hoffa, being Hoffa, desperately wanted his power back, and he immediately started maneuvering to reclaim his presidency. Let's walk through the exact timeline of events on July 30th, 1975, to see how this all builds up. Hoffa thinks he's going to a peace meeting with Detroit Mafia figures Anthony Giacalone and Anthony Provenzano to smooth over his comeback. At 1:15 p.m., he leaves his home. At 2:15 p.m., he calls his wife from a payphone behind the Mafishu's Red Fox restaurant, super annoyed that the mobsters haven't shown up yet. Witnesses actually see him pacing around the parking lot. The FBI estimates that right between 2:45 and 2:50 p.m., he left the location, apparently without any struggle, in the back of a maroon car. And by 7:20 a.m. the very next morning, his own unlocked car is found totally abandoned in that same parking lot. Jimmy Hoffa is never seen again. The FBI's 1976 Hoffex memo lays out the primary theory here, which is mafia retaliation. The mob actually liked the new, compliant Teamster leadership, and they viewed Hoffa's comeback as a huge threat to their control over that massive pension fund. Investigators focused really heavily on a maroon Mercury driven by Hoffa's foster son, Chucky O'Brien. Get this, police dogs even matched Hoffa's scent in the back seat. But here is the maddening reason this case remains totally unsolved. There is zero definitive physical evidence. Over the decades, we've had unverified confessions from hitmen like Frank Sheeran and just endless rumors of burials. I mean, people said he was buried under Giant Stadium, hidden in a Jersey City landfill, or even burned up in local incinerators. But despite millions of dollars and decades of digging, no body has ever been recovered. So we have a missing colony and a missing union boss. But sometimes the mystery isn't historical or criminal, it's auditory. We're going to transition our tone once again to something a bit more unsettling, deeply psychological, and grounded right in the middle of modern environmental science. Section 3. The mysterious Taos hum. Since the early 90s, residents near Taos, New Mexico, have reported hearing this constant low-frequency sound. It's described as sounding kind of like a distant, idling diesel engine. But here is the bizarre catch. Out of 8,000 residents surveyed by national labs in a coordinated 1993 study, only 161 individuals reported actually hearing it. That is an incredibly specific, geographically isolated subset of the population. And this brilliantly illustrates the real heart of the mystery, the stark gap between measured reality and reported symptoms. When government labs brought in highly sophisticated monitoring tools, we're talking instruments measuring acoustic pressure, ground vibrations, and seismic activity, they found absolutely zero anomalies. The instruments literally recorded nothing unusual. Yet the people hearing it suffer an immense physical toll. They report persistent headaches, nausea, sleep disruption, and severe anxiety. The pain is entirely real for them, even if the microphones only record silence. What makes this even stranger are the characteristics of the hum itself. Those affected hear it both indoors and outdoors. And get this, blocking their ears or wearing industrial earplugs doesn't stop the sound at all. That completely separates it from normal environmental noise. Now, researchers did note some elevated electromagnetic fields near local power infrastructure, but they couldn't prove any actual causal link. Plus, Taos isn't completely alone in this. Similar unexplained hums have actually been documented in Kokomo, Indiana, and even parts of Europe. So despite all our advanced technology and government inquiries, researchers just cannot find a physical source or explain why this phenomenon geographically traps such a specific group of people. Section 4. Will we ever know? So the crucial point is, why do these specific cases haunt us so much? Well, because in all three, we have a mountain of circumstantial data, but the evidence abruptly stops right at the very edge of reality. Think about it. With Roanoke, we have dismantled buildings and carved messages, but absolutely no graves. With Jimmy Hoffa, we have exact to-the-minute timelines mapped out and police dogs tracking his scent, but no body is ever recovered. And with the Taos hum, we have devastating physical symptoms meticulously recorded by doctors, but no actual sound measured by our most advanced scientific equipment. It's like the narrative thread just snaps right before the conclusion. Which leaves us with this final provocative thought to take away today. Are some mysteries just better left unsolved? Does the unknown actually serve a permanent, necessary role in the human experience? Maybe it's there to remind us that no matter how advanced our science, our history, or our forensics become, the world is always going to keep a few secrets in the dark. Definitely think about that the next time you hear a strange noise in the distance, or read about a missing piece of history. Thanks for joining me on this explainer today, and keep questioning what you think you know.